Phileas Fogg reached the Reform Club, an imposing edifice in Nova Pall Mall whose construction was said to have cost no less than 3 million credits. Its crystalline alloys caught the light like frozen lightning, and its spires rose in flawless symmetry, a monument to wealth, precision, and the Confederation's enduring belief that elegance was a form of order. He repaired at once to the dining hall. 9 panoramic windows opened onto a cultivated orbital garden, a marvel of bioengineering suspended above the void. Trees no taller than 4 feet shimmered with autumnal hues, coaxed by artificial seasons. Flowers bloomed in geometric beds, each specimen imported at staggering expense. Tiny birds, extinct in the wild for centuries, fluttered under protective domes, tended with the reverence once reserved for monarchs. Fogg's breakfast awaited him at his habitual table, a small portion of broiled synth-fish, a slice of toasted grain bread, and a cup of strong black tea, the Reform's most cherished tradition, brewed from leaves cultivated in the last terrestrial sanctuaries. After finishing his modest meal, he moved to his usual seat beneath the panoramic windows. A flunky android presented the times. The hollow news unfolded in quiet bands of light. He read without haste, without pause, until the clock struck 1. Then, as predictably as the station's orbit, he rose and crossed to the kinetic chamber, a vaulted hall lined with training systems, flight simulators from nimble planetary craft to deep space vessels, grav cycle rigs, and a G-ring capable of replicating the stresses of ascent or slipstream entry. 4 uninterrupted hours. Fogg moved through his regimen with measured precision. Resistance drills, shifting gravity balance work, high G endurance cycles, and a sequence of controlled maneuvers inside multiple flight simulations. When he emerged, immaculate as ever, he returned to the reading room as though nothing at all had exerted him. Half an hour later, several members of the Reform arrived and drew up to the fireplace, a simulated hearth whose artificial flames radiated genuine warmth through plasma coils. They were Fogg's usual partners at Flux-whist: Andrew Stewart, an orbital engineer; John Sullivan and Samuel Fallentin, bankers of interplanetary finance; Thomas Flanagan, director of a classified bioengineering division; and Gauthier Ralph, chief of the Confederation's largest mining enterprise on Venus. Flux-whist wasn't just a game anymore. Each hand had become a model for interstellar defense. Stewart, Sullivan, Fallentin, Flanagan, and Ralph played with the focus of military strategists, their moves recorded for study. Fogg, calm and unreadable, was considered one of the best, his precision shaping Confederation strategy. The Flux-whist game had settled into its quiet rhythm when Flanagan leaned forward.
"Well, Ralph,"
he said,
"what of that robbery?"
Ralph gave a grim nod.
Half the galaxy is already standing on their ears to find the pirates. Every port, every relay station, every grav lane is under scrutiny. Yet, they slip through like sand through fingers.
Stewart waved a hand.
The Confederation will lose the money, that's all.
On the contrary,
said Ralph,
skilled agents have been dispatched to every principal cosmic port in our sector. We'll find them no matter which forgotten meteor belt they're hiding in.
But what actually happened?
asked Stewart.
Do we have more details?
Ralph leaned forward, lowering his voice.
Last week, the Aetherion mines on Pluto were struck. More precisely, the combinate where Aetherion is stabilized for transit. As you know, Aetherion is a volatile liquid metal there, safe only when kept in solid form. That's the combinate's sole purpose. The storages were full. 20 tons bound for Alpha Centauri, another 35 for the Sagittarius Carina arm. No one expected trouble, The Pluto combinate sat under standard Confederation surveillance, its orbital perimeter patrolled by drones and long-range grav scanners. The pirates had been in the system for days. Hidden behind reflective fields, their ship drifted in the outer dark, matching Pluto's orbit and slipping between blind cones in the sensor grid. When the dwarf planet rotated into its communications shadow, they descended. The landing was silent, masked by the planet's own magnetic noise. To the combinate workers, the raiders appeared out of nowhere. In 25 standard minutes, they breached the vaults and began draining the Aetherion reserves. Their RF jammer smothered every distress signal for 15 minutes, freezing the outpost's combat robots into inert metal shells. When the interference finally broke, the Confederation interceptors were already en route, and they arrived while the pirates were still loading. What? A gang who makes off with 55 tons of Aetherion and no one could stop them?
Cried Sullivan.
I cannot wrap my head around it,
Said Stewart.
Cosmic pirates, operating as if at home in our own solar system, right under the noses of the Confederation fleet.
The Confederation forces arrived within 17 minutes of the first distress call,
Said Samuel.
but the pirates were already inside the vaults.
Ralph nodded sharply.
I saw the tactical holorecord from the dock. The place was collapsing under self-guided grenades and nuclear shrapnel. The jammer's whistle froze every combat robot into a statue. Confederation fighters made 2 strafing runs, but the pirates' shields held long enough for them to finish the transfer. They cracked the dock codes in 13 minutes, loaded every last gram of Aetherion, and blasted off. Lost almost all their androids, but not a single crew member. And once they cleared the dock, nothing could stop them. They hit hyperspace range with seconds to spare. The cruisers locked weapons, just as the raiders vanished into the jump corridor.
Flanagan raised his eyebrows.
Their technology is impressive, but someone helped them. Looks like an inside job.
Do we know where they are now? Or what race they claim to represent?
Andrew asked.
The Hyperlane Herald reports they are humanoids, and their captain looked like a man from Earth.
Said Phileas Fogg, his head emerging from behind the shimmering hollow news. He inclined his bow to his companions and, with measured calm, entered the conversation.
Most likely they went to the Orion Arm, perhaps closer to Cassiopeia, Perseus, or Auriga.
Said Samuel.
Impossible?
Said Stewart.
That's the other side of the galaxy. We shall never find them. The Milky Way is too vast.
It was once.
Said Phileas Fogg in a low tone.
Cut, sir.
He added, passing the hollow cards to Flanagan.